we'll call the Thursday, October 12th, 2023 Rome Town Budget Meeting to order. Roll call starting on my left, please.
Capel here.
Minter here.
Jamadi here.
Cole here.
Bauerheit here.
We'll certify the posting of the meeting.
I certify that on Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board Budget Meeting for Thursday, October 12th, 2023 was posted at Rome Town Hall at 1:45 p.m., posted at Quick Trip LLC at 2:15 p.m., posted at Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 2 p.m., emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 2:25 p.m.
Item 4, approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda with the addition of the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Minter with the addition of the Pledge of Allegiance, second by Supervisor Capel. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pledge of Allegiance. Item number 5, we have an orange card this afternoon. Citizen comments. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comments from any town resident not a member of the town board on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversations with you, but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk treasurer, providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. Okay. We have 3 minutes. We'll call Tom Gabriel up. Address, you can give your address and your name, please, when you come up and sign the sheet. Make sure the red button's on so everyone can hear you. He has a concern regarding fire safety.
Name is Tom Gabriel, 266 Matterhorn Trail. I come up here today to explain a safety concern that I brought to the Plan Commission and tried to work with the Plan Commission for 3 months, only to be voted down. After my spring fire inspection, the fire chief had some concerns over my gas cans, gas power equipment, and other things that I need to maintain Papa Bear's mini golf being kept inside of the building. I thought that asking the Plan Commission to revisit the standards in commercial aid would be a appropriate first step in this matter. Since the town has made changes to the ordinance in the park before, but I guess it's only when they want something because I bought in a business park, not a residential business park. After 3 months of working with the Plan Commission, they have taken my safety concern and turned it into what they want to see. No garage doors. No regards to your first responders. If there was a fire at my business, the fire department would not anticipate gas cans exploding on them when they entered a building. I was left confused, upset, and hurt that the focus changed from safety to garage doors and not on the safety of the first responders in the town of Rome. The church has a standalone garage. The apartment buildings have 36 garage doors. So how do we get from safety to garage doors? That you'll have to ask the Plan Commission. If the Plan Commission and the town board are so concerned over the looks of the Rome Town Center, I can tell you, looking out of my building at a Menards garage pole barn with no landscaping is not eye-pleasing to me when I have to look at it 60+ hours a week. I also have to look directly at a garage door. As an owner of a small business in the town of Rome, also in the Rome Town Center, I'm beyond frustrated how some things get improved and or changes are made for others. But the one thing that stands out the most is the focus on a garage door and not over the first responder safety. We could have put butterfly wings or something on this garage door if that was their main concern, made it into a photo op since we are a butterfly town. Thank you.
Discussion and possible action on the following items.
Just like I figured, no discussion every time I come up to that mic.
Discussion and possible action on the following items. Number 6, the board may go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Stat Section 19.85, Number 1, Sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Discuss and investigate concerns and complaints regarding personnel matters. Roll call vote, starting on my left, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll move we go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985, 1C.
A second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Capel and a second by Supervisor Cole to go into closed session under Wisconsin State Stat, Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub C. Roll call, starting on my left, please.
Capel, yes.
Minzer, yes.
Jumati, yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, yes.
Okay, we'll go into closed session, and we're meeting with attorney regarding personnel matters, so it'll be the town board at this time. Thank you.
Joanna, do you need assistance in getting to Attorney Macy on the phone?
Yes, please, if you would.
I'll stay out here unless there's some reason that you want me in.
Yes, we'll call you in when we're ready.
I suppose the mics are all on.
Yes, yes, they are.
I can turn these two off.
The ceiling mic is still on, which will still pick up all of the conversation in the room.
Can we go into, like, Melissa's office? Or Wendy's office? Would that be all right?
Mine's open, go for it.
I do have the video looped as closed session, just so, remember
If they
to,
come back, I'll make sure you're here.
yeah.
I'm allowed to leave my chair, I'm assuming, right? Get to the point where when you can't handle something, you call for help.
and one way back.
We've gotten
and go
that
through the
kind of,
glass.
you know, it's nice to find out we have all these resources.
Do you have one
And,
for everyone else you get?
Four, and then it's
I
like,
have three.
it's,
So like if
census,
you
but it has
I
to
can
do
tell you
with
for sure because I have three lots.
and asking for all these different.
Like
I
some
know,
of
when
the
I
houses
school
on the other
movie, they're
side.
using all these big
across the
words
street.
and how am I supposed to
And
know this?
the
And I'm
trees,
like,
almost
students,
almost 2 acres that go up to the house. And it's, and if they go ahead and do it, so that whole, but right now it's just the campers off the other lot, so they're afraid to ask for permission on.
this is where you get it from, and I highlighted it and made a note so next year I'm gonna get that number from. And I even found out she can't file it first because she completed, yeah, she does that for all her PC reports, so she completes it all, but we have to file it.
Yeah.
She goes through and she gets it all done for us, and then I just have to put it right. Yes, so the Schedule C, I was like, I'll worry too, I was like, oh, no, Amber does that, and this is the, an addendum to that, like, I think it's because everything wasn't, when that was filed, everything was, I don't know, like,
And the thing is,
asked a
everybody's
couple
calling
questions, a
about
couple of them were
calling
easy.
about this hunt, you're like, what do you mean?
It was really easy when she told me the answers, because there was only two things you needed to put in there. Oh my, kind of like your cash
I had 3 more
investments on
calls
hand,
from
and
guys, so
like,
they're, oh, I didn't know, I'm
retirement
coming up to hunt my parents this
stuff.
weekend. We got
But
permission.
you know, there's investments and there's different
There's
things you do,
stuff,
so.
deer's running, deer running.
Now I know they do one statement plan on, and then the other
This is
one
as bad as in Charles,
but it listed
land when we were
all
kids.
these things and
Took
it
the spray
really
paint.
applied to us, so.
You're like, I got hit by a car, and came in, told him I got a close, he raised the big X when the highway would come and pick him up. Freaking deer wasn't dead, it got up, it was running around with a big orange X.
Final audit, I'm like, when are you gonna do this?
Oops.
And then final audit, and then here it was nothing.
There'll be a lot of that.
Yeah. Right in here, I think it's, Oracle.
All the houses that I knew, drainage, town property, and that was like ours, on the end, you just got.
Yeah. I know.
Brown bag.
And I didn't do anything. Yes. Yeah. And then if you put it here, and then you now you can move it over here.
Residential, it's not like, my first dog piles, it's great, it's good feed for the other wildlife that we
I'm
like to
figuring
watch.
eventually, it did start clicking, but, you know, a lot of it's going through the process for me too. They were having me do things, but they weren't explaining it all the way through. So it was kind of like, now I get it. This isn't connected to this one, so that's why we have to go through 20 steps to do payroll. Because we do it, we post it, we process it, post it, boom, 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 and then you know, there's and payroll steps.
See, that's something that.
I think they're gonna run into issues with like chronic wasting, dysfunction of the social media, so there's a lot of people saying, hey, her looks sick, and you're real sickly looking, and
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Laura Havers
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah, Peachtree is so simple, and
When
it's
this
like,
whole
and
thing
then
went down the first time, she's like, well,
you
I don't have any.
can just click on something, and the whole chat will pop up, where you go out of there and go to another thing, and you do this, and, yeah.
And there's food out,
Yeah, I was
people and
like,
bird seed, not to take it.
it'll get easier. It was just like, yeah, and a lot of it too is just the difference between, you know, government, accounting, and.
Private.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rolling your budget over, it's like, whoa, what?
Yeah, I mean, I have to roll the budget over. I technically don't roll mine over, my budget is a zero budget, so
Yeah.
whatever we bring
Well,
in,
she
we
ain't
take
looking
out.
at tag, she's like,
But you
she's
still
out
have
to me,
to
she's
roll
like,
for the
oh,
next year and create
you
it.
full on 40.
Jamie
just
showed me
call
quickly,
it's
and-
close, and we might have to
And she
pause
said
it for
workforce
days,
has got
we'll throw you
right in
another
there,
40.
how to do it, but I
Pretty good about that,
think,
I'll give them that.
I think though, if you don't mind, I probably have to go over.
Absolutely.
While I do it, just
Oh, 'cause
because.
my first year, I rolled over
Yeah,
just
they're
for
not,
1 year, 'cause I keep
you know,
on my
but
first
you can't
year.
get all the spots.
Oh.
I understand you're
Fix that for me. That's what Jamie said too, she goes, everything's.
I haven't seen one
It
over
is.
there, I saw the one.
It is. There's always
Is it
something.
10 feet or so?
Yeah,
I can't fix it because there's always a journal entry.
yeah, well, I made that mistake too, Jamie told me
One of
to
these guys,
do
you
a
know,
journal
I'm just
entry.
gonna take one of those, and use
Because
their regular tag on
She
it,
needs
some
to put a
person
couple
up
of
there,
hours, she
she'll
wanted
see
to put
that.
something in this
It's
payroll
payroll.
2 times with that
There's
account. Hadn't been created or it was inactive or something, she said, take a
They
look
filled
here,
their
here.
10 tags.
I guess the year already closed out and we did it, so we
being
Yeah.
reads, but
Or subtracting from it, so your balance is gonna matter on your bottom line. That's all you worry about when you close up.
there's a couple of them, but literally.
So yeah, we wanted to do that again. Was it top of blue cheese and the dollars and everything under it?
That's the way to do it.
And they're back there, up by the landfill, the quarries out there, nobody gets
Teasing
over.
her about that. She's scared of your fault. That's right, I told you I'll get Fridays
Hey,
off.
along with Sioux Chief and fighting.
Really?
Up and down that way, up in Urkel there.
You roll with that.
Oh, yeah, they're big, you know, of course, they're real big, big white blobs sitting up there, but.
Oh, yeah, I
Actually says
think
that
she
you
has.
can shoot them,
That's a good
as
thing.
long as they don't have.
It is what it is, I mean,
And they have some sort of problem on it.
Yeah.
They can't even drive a plow, because they used to be able to hear. They said, shoot it,
Most people would have ran it now.
take it, just
oh,
don't
yeah, I
have to
know.
deal with it. You know,
Maybe
take
the
all
next,
kinds of
like,
pictures.
tune about the next
Till it's hanging on
15
your
minutes,
wall.
right?
Yeah.
Call it
Oh, yeah,
later.
that they were gonna give us group permission to shoot from white deer, and,
No,
I
that'll be
just
fine.
said, we'll give you the permission to shoot them, if you don't want them, they're overpopulating the herd, it will be the end of your group, there are protests that are gonna erupt over it, you will be kept driving the border around the same wherever else there.
I know.
But they're big for your animal. Yeah. Except they're bigger than the
I
other ones.
know, this was my thought too,
But
but,
they say they don't live as long,
yeah,
and they're more apt to
That
get
was my thought
attacked
too.
by predators, because their vision is bad,
but
they can't see.
you didn't remember?
No.
You read?
Yeah, except for the winter.
Until you start, so, okay.
So,
Perfect hours.
Yeah.
took it some break. Only just
I was gonna say, we give Melissa this, I didn't put YouTube on there and I can watch that volleyball game on a big screen.
What time does it start?
Volleyball? The first one starts at 5.
Who's playing?
My daughter's coaching but if I'm gonna go, I need to drive to Appleton.
Oh, it's not that far. And what time does it start?
Her game starts at 5. We ain't gonna be out of here.
Oh, no. Unless your budget's covered first.
Oh.
I don't know, how do you figure on the agenda?
I think it's just a group budget.
Yeah, there was
General,
nothing.
you're second fire,
Oh.
general fire.
Last,
Jamie, you wanna go first?
when I left the last budget meeting, my budget was approved.
Mine's approved and they can't do anything with budget, so I don't know when you're.
I think it was so everyone had, if any board members had any questions, that they were able to ask them.
But it'd be nice to have your questions so you can be prepared for the answer.
Always those things, eh?
Yeah, I'm just glad it's the last budget meeting.
Maybe it's that
Town hall.
Yeah, I've never done one of those, that'll be interesting.
Right, what?
Town hall. And then after that, we have this.
last of it.
Oh, we have board review, we have board review next week, so that's gonna be, I was like, oh, for you, you get stuff with everything, I'm like, oh,
Wait.
I don't have to do much, I have to read a couple things.
Hold it still.
I do have to document,
Yeah.
and there could be quite a few of them, so. We're gonna do a mock one next week, I guess. Yeah, but I bummed up, there's a file cabinet that actually has board review stuff in it, I was glad, that was helpful.
Hello.
Oh, hey Fran.
Is it like a closed session?
Yes, we're still in session, it's closed, yeah.
Thanks.
Should've kept the crap pot going, could have had second round.
There's dessert, there's soda in the fridge and stuff.
Soda this time of day better be mixed with something.
There's chips in there too.
Couple of those old stale beers from, But there was a guy here that got, not to mention his name, but he was over on camera, he'd come to a meeting, and he'd be timid as could be in here. All of a sudden, louder, and when you started watching him, he was going outside all the time, he had a great big trip, they went to Straw, and
said something.
Yeah. Just get a look. You didn't show us the lunch today.
Hmm?
You didn't show us the lunch today.
We're working.
Really good. You guys don't get a lunch break?
Yeah, but I have a truck, so I was loading up stars.
You still doing brush pickup?
K&S truck's out there, so just kept working.
Yeah, that sand they put in across the street, I mean, what are they gonna build that building, like? It's,
6 feet off it.
yeah. No, there's not enough sand in it there already. Yeah. I can see building up some, but man, they're really dumping a lot of fill there.
And they're probably gonna put it up in the air a little bit so it doesn't flood out, 'cause that was just a trailer over there before. The bank was in a mobile home.
The bank, there used to be a bank there?
There wasn't, well, are they done being a bank?
Yeah,
They were giving out cash for a while there.
The mobile home was actually a bank.
Bank, oh, that was.
There was, the drive-through used to go through there.
Oh, interesting.
Hartman's put homes there, right?
I
One or two?
Well,
believe they have something to do
Owen
with it,
is some
yes.
other
That's
strip,
what I was told.
right, in some strip mall or something like
Oh,
that,
this is-
something like that.
So, somebody called it a strip club.
We probably have an ordinance against that, I would think.
No, there's actually a fee. If you look far enough in, Rome's got a fee in there.
Oh, but yes, you looked it up?
You can have a strip club, but it's gotta be on Badger and Eighth Avenue.
Really? Oh,
In the
interesting.
swamp, yeah.
Nice.
That's where it's gotta be put.
I think it's like 15 grand a year. Says in the. Badger needs to go water too,
Because
so
I think, you know, all the municipalities created them ordinances, and I think they found them unconstitutional. There's some big lawsuit that,
you can't charge
yeah,
extra.
you can't charge an exuberant fee for.
Just go to Armenia.
It's not that, isn't it, in the cruise now?
No, it's in Armenia. We had an ambulance call out there years ago to pick up Craig, who, he owned the place, and those two big German shepherds that ran around in there. Went there to get him, he was pretty sickly, sitting in his tree, he's dead now, that's why we can talk about it. I asked his wife to take the dogs to the other next room, they're friendly. She said, right, just until I touch him. Friendly's gonna be done, each one of them dogs were over 100 pounds.
They didn't like you touching him.
Hmm?
They didn't like you touching him.
No, they didn't, I had bite marks all over me.
That's why they were there.
They wander around and be all friendly as could be until you did something silly.
Is that place still even older than?
Oh, yeah, she's got it all cleaned up.
Really?
The old place?
She's got it all cleaned up, it's really nice inside there now.
That's not open to business, is it?
Warners?
Yeah, they moved that,
Yeah, the old barn's been closed down for a
Oh,
while.
yeah, that's been closed a long time.
Oh, you're talking a new place, okay.
Yeah, since he died, she cleaned it all up, that place was, you wouldn't recognize it walking in.
I thought it was nice when I was there, we stopped there on motorcycles once during the day. It
Yeah,
looked fine.
She's got it all cleaned up, well, since he died, she's got it
I
really
can see
cleaned
that
up.
old place was great.
That was unique, it
Yeah.
was, so you didn't trip over the
Yeah.
stalls and stuff when you're walking around.
There's a lot of neat things there.
People used to shoot deer out of the window during deer season. They had lakes outside.
See, there's a twist. Nighttime hunting.
No, it's too far, the cops wouldn't go out there. be in the corner of Port Road and Seneca Road. Port Road and Seneca Road, Mr. Bill's.
Is that right where the flagpole is and stuff there?
It's Mr. Bill's. Where's Beauty and the Beast? Beauty and the Beast?
Is it Disney?
A lot of places, but it's right on 54. But they're 50 Beast. And Bumples is on the west side, Rapid, right?
Yeah,
Over
that's
by,
on 17th Avenue in West Grand.
Where the fire station's at there?
It's across
I
kitty
don't
corner from it.
never heard of any of those
I have
places.
no idea. I've only been here for 4 years, so I
Oh.
have no idea about
there used to be Badger Bar in town, all kinds of.
I've been for 30.
It used to be, Forest School Short used to be across from Quick Trip.
Which one?
this picture.
No, the one in Rapid right by the
Ida?
Walmart.
Oh my.
Forest Schools used to be right in there.
Really?
Yep.
I remember when that bar was on the corner of 73 and 13, that one, and then you had,
Jack's Bar.
and Pilat, and the other one too. There was-
Jack's.
But it depends on who you're talking to, because it was either Pilates or Smoky Joe's.
Yeah, Smoky Joe's
Smoky Joe's
Corner.
Corner.
Yep.
When you could still, you hear directions like that, when I was still running ambulance out of Nakusa. I'll meet you at Smoky Joe's Corners. Yeah, but it's been gone for a long time.
But what was the one across the street from?
That was Argyle Jackson's, it's the better owned gas station, he owned the bar there. The bar was called, that was Jack's.
Oh, okay. And then the other one, there used to be right where the sheds are before you get to Tractor Supply. They used to be called Dance Never, and it was a big dance place. I remember that one.
That you,
They
bar,
burned
bar,
down.
at bar time, you'd buy alcohol there, stand in line at the bar. Just, you go right back to the cooler, and they just pour the beer out. Some kid lit it on fire, was mad at him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of his employees burned it down.
Oh, my.
Did it burn actually twice? Weren't there two separate fires there? Like this? There was a small one years before, but this one was, this kid lit her good.
Christ, when I first started working here, I was on night shift here. And they had a big brawl at Lance's, they freaking called us up there, sign 113. Here's a guy that Rapids PD cuffed behind the back, and he's already probably 6 blocks down, going down the hill at Nepco Lake. I see a guy walking down 13 handcuffed behind the back. Like, hey, get your ass in the car. And one of them took a bottle and threw it. The Grand Rapids guy that was there and hit him in the head with the glass bottle. Was the first one there that, called the whole cavalry up there and knocked him out with the glass bottle. He gets out of his car.
Is that legal?
Well, they called before Lance's, they've never gone in there before them. Got 'em old. Then they had, it was a go-go joint, they had girls dancing in cages.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
So you grew up around here, right? Did you grow up in this area too?
Yes.
Cops and some of the old timer Rapids ones over there. There was quite that, Forest Schools downtown and the outside of that's rough. And the cop got there and the guy swung around and got the cop in the chin. The cop took him by the shoulders and took him and rubbed him up and down that wall because he didn't have his shirt on.
You missed the real education.
What's that?
So you missed the real education.
Please remember,
This is where the good stuff gets talked about.
please remember the cameras room.
Taking a trip down memory lane in history.
Great. How far back? Nineties?
Oh, that, bubbles, all that, that's 90.
Oh, that's gotta be older than that.
Talking about establishments on, like Ware and Juneau County and Lance's, stuff like that. I think it all started.
He still owns that property and he still has a liquor license there.
Are you serious?
He keeps paying for it every year.
And and the town isn't interested in
I asked,
having
so we
a.
did the season. Well, next week, the 3 days I'm up in Florida. I have to do site
Oh,
visits.
yeah, they have good pie in Florida.
At that little cafe that's around the corner from the school.
That little place by the church,
Yeah.
it's still there.
Yeah, I saw it on the map. I didn't make it there.
There better be tonight.
I think I wore this sweater. It's always like 25 degrees.
It's getting cold.
Oh my gosh, I'm always cold.
Yeah, Monday morning will work.
Monday is not
Monday
cold until, what's the date on that?
23rd.
Okay.
70s in the day. Over 90 every day. It was so hot.
Really?
Over 90. Yeah, we didn't have a drop of rain. Today,
I don't think there's much
yesterday,
rain
it's been
there
raining all day.
usually.
Okay.
Been kind of
Okay.
rain. You have to see these terraces. Oh my God, it's so beautiful.
You ever been in the I think it's Moselle Valley up there in the Rhine? Is that right?
No.
Nope.
That just growing in the hills.
Melissa, thank you for letting
It's
us use
different.
that.
It's
That's,
not
we
the,
got,
similar, very similar.
Lori, I'll fill you in, but we got, he's taken care of enough.
Oh, do we? We know what we gotta do?
I would've claimed if I
We're
knew.
not bumping it up.
I don't know.
We're talking about different things? Okay.
But I'll fill you in.
I didn't know they were coming.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion, we return to open session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes, section 19.85, paragraph 2.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Capel, a second by Supervisor Minter to enter into open session authorized by Wisconsin Stat Section 19.85 Sub 2. Roll call starting on my left.
Capel, yes.
Minter, yes.
Jumati, yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, yes.
Number 8, discussion and possible action, approval of in-season archery hunting on town property owned off 14th Avenue, also described as parcel numbers 030-00627, 0000, and 030-00812-0000. Need a motion?
Move to approve the in-season archery hunting on the town-owned property described in the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Minter, a second by Supervisor Capel for the approval of in-season archery hunting on town-owned property located off 14th Avenue for the parcel numbers listed. Discussion? Do we need any information or comments by the chief? He's here this evening. This was an item carried over that we had absentmindedly forget to put on our last agenda as part of the deer nuisance roundup.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping? Alrighty.
Can I just clarify,
Yes.
this will be into perpetuity then, that it will be open? Does the motion need to reflect that? It's not just this year?
Would you like to come up, Chief?
I
and
can amend my
ex-
motion if we need to.
Would you like to come up, Chief?
Otherwise, it would just be in effect until you.
Change it.
Okay.
I'd like Chief to comment if he has something to say about it, though. He may have something to say. He keeps going back.
I think we covered it, we just couldn't act on it at that last meeting, that I was issuing permits for this parcel of land, and I think we just should open it and allow archery hunting on its large enough parcel. You know, similar to the timber company land, that, hey, it's open for hunting, and when people call, we'll say it's open for hunting, you don't need a permit.
And just leave it open until you determine otherwise.
Correct.
If
Until there, yeah, if there's ever a problem or something, I'll report it back to you guys, and you can.
And in that case, I'll amend my motion to be that we approve the open archery hunting on the parcel described for an indefinite term of years until such time as we would receive contrary information from the police chief.
And I'll amend my second.
I thought in perpetuity sounded a lot easier, but okay. Alrighty then. The motion is amended as suggested by Supervisor Minter and seconded by Supervisor Capel. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, discussion and possible action, specific 2024 budgets being reviewed, starting with general and fire, parks, tourism, buildings and grounds, in addition to any other comments, questions, or final changes prior to the annual budget hearing and town meeting.
So this evening on your desk was the levy limit worksheet again. You had received this right when we had started the budget process, but I thought it was worth just distributing it again as kind of a reminder. Ellers helps us to ensure that our levy limit worksheet is correct. It reflects our net new construction and provides our total number of levy, which is the 3.7 million. That's how we get to this property tax levy sheet in determining each one of the budgets. We are balanced at this moment in time with the changes that we made at the last meeting. I did distribute this evening an updated general, so the general in your packet you could disregard, and we'll use the general that was at your seat. The changes from what was in your packet to what was at your desk tonight is interest income is added. I will say I was conservative on interest income. I do believe it will be higher than the $10,000 that I put into the budget, but just felt it would be better to be conservative than not. The other item changed is the clerk treasurer mileage dues and training is, it has more detail out. It wasn't detailed out and now is detailed out on how we're getting to that $3,000 that's in the budget. From our previous meeting, did remove the items in general capital outlay, the community room and the SCBA's. Those have been handled in their respective budgets. I did include a memo in the packet though. I had a conversation with Amber, who's our auditor from CLA. We, for the shared revenue piece, will just divide that income when it comes in between general and fire. So now fire has a shared revenue in their budget, and the $13,000 will be placed there, and the rest is in general. However, for the tourism, she's uncomfortable with putting that in tourism because that's where you're gonna take in that revenue and putting that revenue in buildings and grounds. Cause you're essentially double accounting that revenue and you'll be double accounting the expenditure. She said it's really just most appropriate, since they're all 100 funds, all general, to just spend it out of tourism, which is what we do with parks anyways. So when we get to the tourism budget, you'll see that I've noted that those items are parks related and buildings and grounds related. And then in buildings and grounds, I've done the same to say that those funds are coming from tourism, but they're just reflective as a note to locate where those funds are coming from, but they're not being spent out of those budgets. Amber just felt like it's more problematic to double account those revenues than to just spend it out of tourism. So happy to answer any other questions on general, if there were any other questions. I will note then, taking those items out of capital, your other government, so our revenues equal our expenditures, does dramatically increase, right? Because you are taking more than $200,000 out of that general fund. So your other general government does increase. And maybe next year, when you take the borrow
you wanna have a conversation? Do we wanna use 300,000 of that as the down payment on the borrow and borrow slightly less funds? That could be a conversation for the board once you would know what your estimates come back at, your bids, and what your interest rates are.
Jamie, just going back to the levy worksheet from Ellers. What is the personal property aid payment?
It's your personal property tax.
Okay.
The number's not showing on this form, I don't believe.
Less your personal property aid payment, yeah. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, we don't have a great deal of personal property tax. And my understanding is I mean, every year it's gone down and at some point it will totally go away. I don't know if that's next year.
I have a question regarding the levy limit worksheet, and it's honestly, I don't know. When they charge the first dollar credit and the county gets all that money, does that show up on any of our worksheets that we do for the town?
No, first dollar credit would be reflective on the levy limit worksheet.
Or any worksheets that we do?
I don't, I'm sorry, I can't I don't know.
You don't know? I'm just asking.
One I was thinking it might show up on would be that municipal financial report that's due.
Okay.
We don't do that, I think that our auditors probably prepare
They do
that.
it? Look in the audit?
It
Okay.
may be on that worksheet, that would be the only other one that I could think it might show up in.
I'll look there. Okay. Thank you. And how many years do we have left on that contracted assessor agreement? They'll be paid, the payment for the assessment that they did is complete this year, but we have an agreement with them for how many more years, and it looks like it's gone up.
We approved an agreement in 2022 and it goes till 2026. I'm just looking to see if there is a.
$2026, okay.
There's a cost, what it was. The municipality shall pay the assessor $40,000 for each of the 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026 assessment year for maintenance assessment services.
Okay. All right, thank you.
A cost of living adjustment of not more than 3% will be applied on an annual basis for each year of automatic renewal after 2026. So you'd have to provide it looks like a 60-day notice, otherwise it can auto-renew after 2026.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments on general? Do department heads or staff have any question on the general budget for us? Oh, look, some glum. Y'all had a nice lunch and party at noon. What's?
It's the weather.
It's the weather. I know it's getting cold and icky outside. So did we want to accept general the way that it is then with the updates?
I move to accept the general budget as presented. Government budget as presented.
I'll second for discussion.
Right. We have a motion by Supervisor Minter, a second by Supervisor Capel for approval of the general government budget. Discussion? All set? Any more discussion, or you had any questions? All right then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to fire.
To fire, just again noting, you'll see that new account line, it's the second one, the state shared revenues. There's the $13,683. That's that additional portion that wasn't general that we moved back to fire for the SCBA's. And then in fire capital outlay, you're gonna see the SCBA's, and I've noted here expense between dues and capital. So 11,520 comes out of the 2% dues, and the 13,683 comes out of state shared revenue. That does increase the fire department budget to the $600,000. However, it didn't increase the levy dollar amount because it was offset by that other revenue. That would have been the only change from our prior viewing of the fire budget.
I'll move approval.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Supervisor Capel, a second by Supervisor Bauerheit for approval of the fire department budget. Discussion. I have a question regarding the, where did we have the parking lot?
It's in the buildings and grounds.
Okay, all right. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, parks.
No changes in parks from the prior time. The $50,000 again, that we did have a motion on to include in parks is in the tourism budget, not in the parks budget, so there hasn't been a change since the last meeting.
But by leaving it in the tourism though with that note, then, I mean, that's obviously a message for the next year that 50,000 goes to parks.
Correct.
Yeah, same as last year.
Yep.
Got it. Just wanna make sure parks gets their money.
Thank you.
Move to accept the Parks Department budget as presented.
A second.
Motion by Supervisor Minter, second by Supervisor Cole to accept the parks budget as presented. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tourism?
Tourism, again, we received the estimates from Visit Rome for next year. I believe I mentioned at the last meeting that we feel the estimates again are conservative, but felt it was better to be conservative with the numbers. And then on the expenditures, under the 30%, you will see the $50,000 for the Rome Town Center Park project or capital improvement. Our fee for host compliance, that community room and kitchen remodel, which then I've denoted building and grounds capital outlay, the $229, and then there's still, with what we're anticipating to bring in next year, the $48,243. And then just a note that when the kitchen and the community room remodel comes in, those should all be coded for the tourism, 30%.
So I'll move that we approve the tourism budget as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Bauerheit, a second by Supervisor Minter for approval of the tourism budget as presented. I do have a question. I was looking back over some documents for the Timberline Parkway Extension project that we started now this year. That's in the budget for 2023. Did any of the expansion of the water main and the line go to the water utility, or that all went through this budget?
It all went through tourism. It was budgeted to come out of tourism. It was not budgeted to come out of utility.
Okay.
And we budgeted the 245. We do have some engineering cost in there too, but we are under that 245.
When would we have final numbers on that project? By year's end?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So no, okay.
The total of the water main expansion was if you are looking under your projected year end, just the water main expansion was the $136,003.66. But there's some engineering costs that we should add in there, cause I just would have to see if any of that was expended the prior year and this year. But we will be under the 245 for sure.
And that was all taken out of tourism.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, tourism.
Okay.
Is that legal? Is that legal? It doesn't come from the utility, it comes from some other source? To expand a water utility pipeline?
If the town wants to do the expansion, we can pay for the expansion, yes.
Right.
Just like if you had a home and you were several thousand feet away, but you wanted Rome Water Utility and you were willing to pay for all of the expansion costs?
Okay, because it benefits the town, it was a good use of the funds. Got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we had a motion and a second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Buildings and grounds.
So buildings and grounds, you're gonna see the decrease in this, because of the community room and kitchen remodel, you'll reflect that 229, but again, that's out of tourism. And then the motion at the last meeting to take the $5,650 from the Station 2 parking lot improvement, so that brings that cost down in capital to the $76,850. So that took your levy need down here to the $194,358. Those would have been the changes from the prior meeting.
You said 198,858.
358. 194, 358.04.
Yep, is the levy. The total
Okay.
budget is the 198,858.
Okay.
Yep. Which includes your revenue from your lease agreement next door, and building rental.
I know that we approved with the last time, Jackie wasn't with us the last time we had discussion on Fire Station 2, with the helicopter landing pad. And I received more information. It actually came late in the day when we had our last budget meeting. But I had questions regarding the landing there and more information on, the amount of landings we had throughout the BFMR district and what we actually need. And I, still have a question regarding that and the need for improving that landing pad there. And I, believe we should set that money aside and leave it for other improvements and needs in buildings and grounds or for roads, yeah. There's other needs that we might have next year. And I would move that we remove that money from buildings and grounds for that helipad based on the information we received from two different sources regarding that. I can't see shutting down that road anytime throughout the year when there's other places that a helipad or the helicopter can be landed. I would move that we remove that money.
Chairman, I understand, what you're saying about, perhaps it's not used as a helipad, but it is also the parking lot for Fire Station 2. And for access to Fire Station 2, for a variety of purposes. So I still stick by my original.
Yeah, did we vote on that last time?
She's
Thought so.
voting that we take it out, or moving that we take it out.
And I was in the majority last time, so I can bring it back and rescind it and ask that we remove it.
unanimous vote.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Oh.
No, it was 3-1 if I'm.
I don't
You
think-
voted against it.
I don't think this is a motion to reconsider, which is what she's,
She didn't make one.
has phrased it as.
She didn't make a
If it was
motion
a
to
motion to
reconsider.
reconsider, she couldn't do that.
Oh, I see.
But we're,
What's-
well, we
what's
have,
the
no,
motion?
I'm just saying I
I see.
can't, but I'm
Gotcha,
saying.
gotcha,
I think what you're doing is going through each of those
The
budgets.
budget, okay.
And
She made a motion to change the budget.
And it says final changes, so I'm making a motion that we remove it.
I'll second for discussion.
So we have a motion by Chairwoman Jamadi, second by Supervisor Capel for removal of the parking lot at Station 2. That parking lot is not in that bad a condition. I went out and looked at it again. We could mastic that like we do other roads.
Well, but if we mastic it then, I mean, if that's a viable option, then it's gonna cost us less, although you still gotta dig the tanks out. I mean, I guess.
But we
that's
don't have to
part-
take them out right now.
But why put mastic down on top of something that you're gonna rip up?
Right.
Same reason we put mastic down in other places and rip it up and put down a new
The
road.
parking lot's not gonna get any better, and we talked about this last time, and the tank
Jackie wasn't
removal
here. I'm
is,
giving her an opportunity.
that's fine. But I think we ought to just, since we have the money now, expend it and get it fixed so that it's in proper shape over there.
What would be the better use for the funds that's more important than this? I guess that'd be my question. Where that money would go.
It could go into the highway department for other needs, for other work that we could have done.
I guess I missed the information, if it was shared at last meeting, what you learned about the helipad usage and such, was that something that,
There was more
Share with
information available.
everybody
Unfortunately, it
and-
came in really, really late that day. Most of the information I initially received was the weight of the helicopters, but what I was really looking for is the use of that helipad, if it was turned into a helipad. We were told that we had 16 landings in Rome, but that wasn't necessarily clear. There was a total of 17 altogether in the BFMR, and they've landed, let me see if I've got the numbers here handy. They've landed 3 at the Big Flats Fire Department, 1 at the scene, 1 at the airport, 2 at, 1 at the Wisconsin Rapids Airport, 1 at Adams County Airport, 9 here at this complex, and 1 at the Monroe Town Hall. It said that, the helicopter and LifeStar personnel mostly make the decision for landing at, or likely make the decision for the scene landing zone and 3 airport landing zone. Otherwise, fire departments make the decision where the landing zone is going to be established. Let me see here. So it goes on to say different reasons, but they had taken a look at the lot, and yeah, they can land on that. There's no concerns at their end. I looked at the lot again. It's not that bad. One of the comments I had made previously is that when we should, the nice time it would have been done to get that lot done is when we did the road. But we didn't make that decision. Sadly, we didn't make that decision at that time. It could do crack filling, seal coating, it could do, other projects. I just don't see it as being a necessity right now, if it could last one more year. We've got a lot of other projects. We put a lot of money in now to the town hall. We made the decision to make that $200,000 commitment.
for the kitchen community area?
Everything.
Right.
Lights, painting, all of it. Sound. Which we don't even have tables, for the room. I mean, we have tables, but 25 of them, 2 people each. We don't have banquet tables. There might be other needs when it comes to the needs that we might have with that room. We don't know. Once we get into it, there might be additional costs. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair, I took a look at it myself, and I took some pictures, and I'm looking at those pictures right now, and that thing isn't gonna last much more than 2 years. It's gonna crumble if we don't do it.
Okay.
So, just for what it's worth, it is, you're saying it's not in bad shape, it is in bad shape. There's alligatoring, there's pitting, there's cracks all over the place. It's gonna need a resurface within 2 to 3 years if we don't do it next year. So we'd be putting it off for a year. Adding it to, adding the money to the budget that we already are looking at a capital expenditure for, I'm not sure is a good idea. I think we should get it out of the way and do it. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm with Bill on that.
Guess I can't say I've looked at it, I mean, just other than driving by, but I think we did have, Brad Martinson come forward and talk about it and say that it really can't be patched up and fixed. And I think, in my mind, he's the road specialist here, and I would have to defer to him. No
Okay.
disrespect to you.
No problem. All right. So, do you want to take a vote, or we had a motion and a second? All in favor?
Wait a second. I'm not, restate the motion, just, I know what it is. I did not mean to vote aye.
There was a motion to remove it.
Right.
Okay, nay?
Nay.
Okay.
Nay.
All right. Thank you for considering it, though. All right.
So that is the review of all of the budgets that we had left. We are balanced at this point in time, so tomorrow morning we would release the notice of the budget to the newspaper. It would get posted early next week to the posting boards, so we would be able to hold the budget hearing and town meeting on November 2nd at 6 o'clock.
Okay, sounds good.
Exciting. Yay!
So we'll
Poppers or
budget
something.
first and then town board
Yep.
afterwards?
We will
Oh,
have the
just a
budget-
backup note, though. We did take $5,650 out of that parking lot. I don't know what a difference
she
it'll
mentioned
make,
that.
but it will make a difference, just so
mentioned
you
that.
know.
There's a corner that you could cut off without affecting the overall property.
All right, just so you know, we took it
That's
out.
why I took a look at it.
That the night of the 2nd at 6 o'clock, we'll start with the presentation of the budget, so the budget hearing, then we'll do the town meeting. Then after the town meeting, we'll have regular town board meeting. It'll be lighter on items, it'll be approval of the budget and any other immediate business that we might have, but, so, that will be a in it to win it evening,
So again, it's November 2nd, 6 PM.
November 2nd, 6
Time to be here.
Okay. Number 10. Discussion and possible action. A, review transition plan document for town administrator, duties and responsibilities of other departments. Was there an update on any of that, or have you pretty much turned that into an internal document? You're working with your department heads?
It was reviewed with department heads at the last department head meeting, which was this past Tuesday. A couple minor items have come up that we will add or make adjustments to. We will also make that document, I've been taking out things that are confidential in nature, so things that would refer to emails and passwords or emails of some of our contacts. Just so if it would be requested that it could be distributed and wouldn't have, our password to get into our YouTube channel and into our WebEx accounts and those kinds of things, which are important for the department heads to know, but don't otherwise need to be shared. So, department heads are certainly here if there was any additional questions for them, but
Did you include a version 4 in our packet? I thought you,
no, I did not include an additional version in the packet.
can we get a copy of version 4?
I think we're on version 5 now.
Oh,
but
okay.
The
Send
version
it to me.
5 that I will provide for you will be shorter, because anything that's confidential will be
Right.
taken out of it.
I think we're trustworthy, aren't we?
I
Because
don't need to-
otherwise-
I don't need to
I don't
have a
need to say
copy with
passwords,
passwords
yeah.
and things.
Well, I don't need version, I mean, I don't need the other stuff, but I think we're all trustworthy people here, right?
Well, you all received version 4,
Four.
which is the full version. The only difference in version 4 and version 5 is that version 5 will have minus those items.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Review GovHR and Public Administration Associates LLC proposal for potential town administrator recruitment.
So both proposals were included in your packet. You have previously seen the GovHR proposal. I did reach out to Public Administration Associates, and their proposal was provided in the packet. Just be looking to town board to have a conversation if they wanted to proceed with either proposal or if they had additional questions on the proposals.
But it seems like comparing the costs of the two proposals, the PAA for comparable services is slightly lower on each of the three options. I mean, I sort of read it as their option 2 is like the full one from GovHR, their option 1 is like the modified one from GovHR, and their option 3, where they bill us $100 an hour, is the sort of bare bones services. And if I look at the GovHR one, I mean, they were at like $11,000 for that one. Oh, you've got it all done out here. Nice, thank you.
That's what we should have had in our packet.
Yeah. So they were about 6,500, which would give us 650 hours at 65 hours at $100 an hour.
They're here, in the back. Keep going. Page 12.
I mean, I do think using one or the other of these services for recruiting a town administrator is probably a good idea. I know the last time we used one of the services for the last opening like this, we ended up finding a local candidate for the position. Don't know if lightning will strike twice on that.
Yeah, I believe they said they advertise in social media as well as these other locations. But I was hoping that they would be able to advertise locally here within our town. You never know, we might have someone who's just retired and wants to continue working that could be qualified.
Wouldn't we be advertising locally right off on our website though, or you mean just
I
to
don't know.
broadcast?
I guess the question I have is whether we're actually ready to go forward with this step. I don't think we are. I think we need to go and look at the job description and make sure we're getting what we want before we take this step.
Could we go forward with this step, and if there needs to be any changes
No,
with
you
the
gotta have the job
description?
description in order to go forward with this step. We haven't done that step yet.
I think we could decide if we wanted one or the other of them at the point that we're ready to go forward, but just not agree to sign the letter of agreement with the
Yeah,
selected.
I said, I
But
don't think we're ready to move forward until we've reviewed the job description.
I would agree with you.
If you wanna talk about the two and discuss those. It's party of my peers that are working in the Public Administration Associates, so.
I mean, I'm in favor of, when we do
Based on what
finally
I-
go forward.
Based on what I read between the two, I would go with the second one, the Public Administration Associates, before we go back to HR. Wasn't real delighted with their response.
I would tend to agree with you. I like the PAA.
I'd have to agree. If we go forward with anything, it would have to be Public Administration Associates.
And I think at the time that we do that, we could decide which step we wanted to actually go forward with. I don't, Jackie, did you have a chance to read both of them?
I looked at them, we've used GovHR before, correct? But not the PAA
Correct.
before, and GovHR didn't seem to bring all that many candidates in, so maybe it's a good time to try someone else.
GovHR seems to circle through the same candidates over and over, and the pool just seems to narrow itself down, and it wouldn't hurt to try somebody different if we move forward in that step.
Well, I was just looking at all the other customers that PAA has serviced around the state.
That
and
looked like a
quite
good
frankly,
choice to
they've
me.
got a wide reputation.
And they actually, believe it or not, is recommended by our personnel, one of the recommendations by the personnel attorneys, so,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and by, but, yeah. But I do believe that we need to take, we need to take the time and just finish the HR audit, but I would agree that personnel administration associates would be the route to take for a different pool of candidates. We did have an opportunity too to get a list of different communities that have, different titles and combinations of titles with city administrators, city managers, slash clerk treasurers. There's a good one out of Springfield, Minnesota that does a city manager, economic development administrator. There's a planner. That one I gave to someone that took a planning job up in Wood County. That was a planner, city or town administrator. So we're getting a variety of responses from a list, the clerk's list, that all different, and we can share that once we get those responses together. But I do agree that we need to take an opportunity to really just finish our HR audit, which we got our first response on that, the first phase of that completed.
Yeah, I don't recall any recommendations for changing the job description for the town administrator.
Well, that would be up to us. Why would, they didn't look at, I mean, we know what we want or need, and we're
The
growing.
recommendation was that it should be reviewed periodically, and they seem to generally comply with what they felt the positions reflected.
And well, they didn't say that, though. They didn't come out and say that, Bob. And Bob, the last time we did look at, it, or the town looked at it, was in 2018 when Jamie was hired, when this administrator was hired. And that was a completely different board. That was 3 boards ago.
Okay.
This is a new board, and the town is in a completely different place. And so, yes, we have a valuation of 1.35 million, but yet we're a town of 3,000 people with services and a staff of 7 department heads with 22 full-time employees. So I think this board has a responsibility to itself, the staff, and its population to look at that job description. Nobody knows
I
what
don't
we know
disagree with
better
that.
than us. So I think we should look at that job description and decide what we think we need, what our department heads feel they want, because they're good people. We've been told we have a culture that has changed with 2 administrators since this position was created. And I think since the position was created, we've had 2 different types of administrators. So it doesn't hurt to stop and evaluate that and consider what we truly need moving forward as the town evolves. The town has changed, and we've changed, and we need to understand what we need to move forward. So, and we've put some really key people in place, so we have those on tap to help us with economic development. So what do we really want? I guess I don't know that I want to have a company tell us to put somebody in charge of these good people and us and our citizens until we know what we need or want. I think people elect us to help, take care of them.
So how do you propose to review the job description then? Do you want to have a subcommittee do it, or you want?
No, we don't need a
here in open
subcommittee. We
session?
do it as the board. We're the ones that are elected. We sit down and have a discussion with our department. We do it first, maybe talk to our employees, talk to the department heads. We have a culture here. That's why we're doing the HR audit. How about we sit down as a board and have that discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to have an open meeting with department heads, for sure, before I change job descriptions. and see what it is, what were we doing right? What are we doing maybe not right? I don't wanna say it's incorrect, I just say it's different. And then find out where we should go from there, so that we do hire somebody that can build a team for the town and get teamwork amongst all the departments. I saw a letter that came out this week that said, they didn't work like a team before we had an administrator. Well, I'm telling you that they're not working like a team now. And we do have an administrator, and I think we need to look at that and talk to our department heads and find out what it is we need to get a strong team leader in here, if we're gonna go forward. That's my feelings. And if you want examples, I'd be glad to give you some.
Well, I think we'll have to have that discussion at some point in time, because I don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay. I think we need to have that discussion.
I think if we can help make their jobs easier, help improve communications, break down silos, let them seek out where their efficiencies could be greater. Build a team, ask them, let's talk to them.
Chief had his hand up.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, chief.
I guess I'll be the first one to speak. I'm the longest serving town board employee, I believe, at this time. When the administrator position was first created, one of the key selling points for department heads is continuity. So we're 7.5 years into the program, and I face the same thing in the police department with my staff. This is a stepping stone position, whether it's a police officer, a town administrator, or any other position. This is somebody that wants to be an administrator is gonna take the same role as our current one. This is a place to land for a while and go on to something bigger. My police officers, I have the same thing. I offer patrol officer positions and a police sergeant. Wood County offers investigator and all kinds of other roles. So there hasn't really been any continuity. The first administrator, I don't know how long the individual was here, 2.5 years. And when that individual came in here, demands were made of department heads. The transition to Jamie was a lot smoother, but I was asked to do things that when I went to my chief meeting, they're like, that shouldn't be done. There's no way you should give that individual these items. I was asked to turn over all the keys that I had to that individual, and there was no oversight from the board. The person was hired and said, here's the keys to the town, run it. And so mistakes were made. Keys were given to this individual, other things were given that aren't industry standards. And until you know what the industry standards are, what that position does in different communities, how can you hire it? And there's really no continuity. Now, Jamie has served for the amount of time she has, and when you folks hire somebody else, they're gonna come in and say, we expect X, Y, Z out of you department heads, and there's gonna be change. There's gonna be no continuity for it. How long will that person last? I looked at the GovHR material. These positions serve an average of 3 years, even in some of the larger communities, and it switches out. How does that help me as a department head when the person's constantly switching and you go a different direction? Hey, my management style is this way, then 3 years later, we're gonna go back to this, because as it was already said, the way Mike Miller managed stuff compared to Jamie is night and day difference. What the priorities were is night and day difference, and I'm sure her replacement isn't gonna be the mirrored image of her. It's gonna be likely different that all of us are gonna have to experience. And I would just hope that the time goes into to get a good set of what the town needs and what we're looking for, so that we can build a team and try and get somebody here a little bit longer than, 4 years.
5.
Or 5 years. Time flies when you're having fun, but the first experience, 2.5 years, we were just getting used to that individual, and they left for other work.
So,
I guess
Chief,
that's.
Chief, before you leave the podium, just ask a question. So is there anything that you, as the police chief, department head of the police department, would like to see in the town administrator? Whether it be like a job duties or specific things that the administrator could do or is doing, because maybe there's obviously things that she's currently doing, that we would want the new person to continue to do.
I just don't think, other than the issues that I haven't had any issues
Do you think this would be better suited for a regular meeting that would talk about the job description and what we'd be looking for going forward, rather than?
Well, I'm curious as to, what are we thinking about? We've talked a couple of times about adding a planning, community, a economic development piece to this job description. Is that something that we really want to do, that we need to do? We've mentioned it, we talked about then this hybrid thing that we did with zoning and planning and our town building inspector for zoning, but do we need, and then we're looking at this assistant position for that department along with some other assisting. And so I guess, is that economic development planning piece something that we feel the next administrator should have some capabilities in doing? If it is, then we need to put that into this job description and figure out if there's, do we leave everything in here or do we take something out? I don't know yet. I could see a good argument for saying that we want the next administrator to have some skills in planning and development and economic development. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but if we're going to want that, then that's gotta be in the job description.
Absolutely. And we know that's happening. We're having businesses come here all the time, and we have a CDA, we have a plan commission, and they meet, well, CDA doesn't meet on a regular basis, which I would hope that eventually we can have a discussion about an economic development committee. But I think that's becoming a vital piece of our community. We have a retail center that's starting to go in. We have other businesses that are coming here. But those are discussions we have to have, and it was in the original job description when this position was conceived all those years ago, and it's continued on, but now we see the Rome Town Center evolving, and that was one of the things that we had put in the job description for the zoning administrator when we wanted to retain her employment, and we upped those qualities there. But is that something that needs to be there? There's many options, but Rome's, like everybody says, is different. So we have to sit down and have that conversation. It's gonna take time and thought. Yes,
The question I have is, with 22 employees, 7 of whom are department heads, do we need a full-time person managing that group? I managed 500 people one time. And so I have a problem saying that we need a $100,000 person for 22 people. I just don't think we do. I'm sorry, I just don't. That's my background. And I've managed people for 40 years. I think we're overkill. And I want everybody to stop and think about that. 22 full-time employees. 22 people. We can go them all personally if you wanted to spend the time and get to know them.
Yes, but without an administrator, you have a vacuum there. You have no one managing those people, except for the department heads managing their own.
You have the department heads managing.
And I don't know necessarily that maybe I'm misinterpreting or reading something into it, but I'm not necessarily reading your statement as saying we don't want to have an administrator at all. You're saying, do we need a full-time administrator?
I'm saying, do we need a $100,000 position?
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Which could be then a part-time or a nothing.
And that's why I said we should move forward with that, with the half-time clerk for zoning, half-time clerk for admin, because that gives us some time to see how things will shake out. You'll have one point person sitting at the desk, able to tell people what they need to do or where they need to go. And we're out there recruiting for that position right now. And this
we're
gives
getting
us,
good response.
this gives us
We're getting
time to
very good
decide whether we
response.
need a full-time position or not.
Guess I'm not totally understanding then the person that you're recruiting for. I don't remember
We
that.
already are recruiting.
Right, I said that we're recruiting for that they were in a position to tell people what to do. I think they were just gathering information to share it with the
They're gonna
board.
be.
So they're not
the
really
glue.
managing it.
They're the glue for the zoning piece, okay, once they know how we operate. And they're also gonna be like a receptionist at the front desk, if I'm not mistaken, channeling people to whom they need to see.
They're not telling people what to do, other than the public, so there's
Well,
still
it all depends, I'm not sure what you
So
mean.
the board is
Oh, you're
the-
talking about the department heads?
Right, the board is the only body then that
That's correct.
oversees everybody else.
Board is the
So
body that would,
all the
is
day-to-day
correct.
things that happen.
No, the board is governance. The board is governance. There's a flow
not
chart.
in
We've got a
this
flow chart.
description, it's not serving
Why-
only as governance.
Well,
I'm
it's-
just trying to figure this out, because I know Jamie, I don't know then what you're thinking she was doing when she was working 40 hours a week plus, if there wasn't enough work
attended a
to
lot of
do.
meetings,
What?
Well, I think attending meetings,
and then didn't come back and tell us what she was learning at the meeting.
Let's not, but let's go back to the department heads. You have 7 department heads with 22 people, you made a point, but we're not we're talking about the position. We have good department heads here, what do you think they do? Why do they need to have, there's communication and there's culture, we've talked about this many times. There's a bottleneck right now, so why can't we sit down and talk about the position, talk to the department heads, and find out, do they feel they need to be managed? Why do they need to be managed? And if we have someone answering the phone, and we have those departments being handled, I think there's some validity to what Supervisor Kappel's saying. We're not ruling this out altogether, but there's no reason why we can't stop and talk about this position, go through the job description, look at the statute, look at our own ordinance, and make sure what we really need in that position. Do we need it full-time? Do we need it for $105,000? And what do we really want it to be and do? So let's fill in the position that we've got really good and I'm not saying that person is taking her place or that place,
It is not taking
but it's filling in and gluing what we need right there. But let's find out what we really need right now for moving forward. It may not look the same it looks right now, and it's certainly not gonna look the same when we originally conceived of it 7.5 years ago. And when the first person came in, he was a I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
When the first person came in, he was a retiree. He knew he wanted to come here for 2.5 years because he needed to be here for family reasons, and then moved on to his next position. People in these positions, if you look at GovHR and even this public administration, they last 2 to 3, it's a stepping stone, and we know Rome is a stepping stone for careers. I think, some very good points have been made, and I think, go ahead.
Well, okay, so then, all right, I think we're all in agreement that we need to look at this job description. We spent the last 20-some-odd minutes talking about that. We all agree we need to look at this job description to decide what we want to do. So how about either we do it tonight, we start at the essential functions at bullet point number 1 and say yay or nay, that should be in the job description, and we just work through it line by line. We either do it tonight, or we stop yakking about it tonight and put it on the next agenda. I don't know which way to go. I'd be willing to stay tonight and talk about it tonight, or I'd be willing to have it on the next agenda. But one way or another, let's stop talking about the fact that we need to talk about it. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it, please.
I really
agree.
want to hear from department heads,
I
Okay,
do
So we
too.
want to hear from department
from
heads.
every one of them.
Okay,
I do too.
so then would be a different meeting then. Okay, that's
Yes.
fair.
And I don't know what kind of forum you do that in. It's almost like a round table.
Has to be.
It has to be a roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
Does anybody else wanna have a shot at this? Is anybody interested in speaking?
6 of the 7 are here right now.
So you mentioned we have 7 department heads and 22 full-time employees. That's an inaccurate number. It is factually correct.
We don't have all the volunteers.
They're employees. You can call them volunteers. We pay them. They are employees.
Well, I wasn't insulting anyone when I said that.
And we have all of our part-time help that run Derricuse, that run the transfer site, and the other essential operations it takes to run this town. We're also built as a town of 3,025 people. Another inaccurate number, because this town is 10 to 20,000 on any given weekend, and then you add it into the holiday weekends, and it's much larger than that. And this town has to be built to be able to handle that stuff, that number of people, plus the people that come in on a daily basis through here. And if we don't have somebody that's taking care of A, B, and C and keeping that all in order, we're going to go backwards. You talk about the future of Rome, we'll slide backwards without having that administrator position filled.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Can you check the numbers for us, Bill? Because we
Sure.
weren't really insulting anyone
No,
when
I
we gave
wasn't,
those
I
numbers, were we?
have the numbers right in front of me.
Yeah.
24 volunteer firefighters, 17 election workers, 22 part-time employees,
So we just left
in
some
addition
out.
to the 22 full-time employees.
I agree with Chief Kane on this, and even with what Chief Lobby said in continuity. One thing I'd like the board to consider is that we need also continuity between boards. We start something, and then when new boards get elected, we keep changing. If we can keep in one direction, it'll make our jobs much easier. When I came on, we had the administrator. I think it's a very important position to have for the day-to-day questions, the day-to-day issues that are handled, so we can then, as department heads, take care of our departments. And we also have that administrator so we can bounce ideas off of. Otherwise, how are we gonna proceed with getting things done efficiently if we have to wait till another board meeting to make a decision? Who's gonna answer those questions?
Okay.
And also, the administrator does help, you use the term bottleneck, but we can all bring our information to her, that person, I'm sorry, Jamie, and they can relay that information on to the board instead of each one of us having to come to meetings and relay it on. That one person can take care of that. And I agree with what Chief Kane said. This town is much bigger, dynamic than most towns. We're a city. We're a village. Everyone can know that too, right? We have to start acting like it. And we need the professional people in those top positions to help us get through that.
Yes, Supervisor Capel.
Let me respond to that. If you want to do that, then let's elect the mayor. Then you have that point person.
You would have to become incorporated first.
Yeah, that's right. Let's talk about that.
We've talked about being a village. No, thank you for your
What I
comments.
guess what I'd like to add is, I agree with what Supervisor Minter said, is we need to fill, in my opinion, we need to fill this position and get a job description done and get this position filled as soon as possible to help with our continuity and keep things going in a direction. Because if what we're doing now, and then we're gonna transition to something else here for a couple months, and then maybe an administrator's gonna be hired, then go back to another option, let's keep moving.
Okay.
We've had 2 months. You know, if we need to have a meeting once a week to get this job description figured out and get it posted, I'd say that's what we need to do.
Okay.
I think we should meet every Friday.
All right.
Starting tomorrow?
I already stayed later than I should have. But as a new employee, and unlike Chief Jason over there, I have the least experience working as a director. And Jamie has been my point person, and so having someone in that position to go to ask questions, to connect me, like, who do I talk to about this? Who do I talk to about that? Who do I go to for this? She sat down with me before I started and went through benefits and kind of gave an overview of all the town things. I don't know who would have done that otherwise. Maybe there's someone to do it. I'm not sure, but I think even from an HR perspective, that's my background, so I think about that a lot. I think that's an important piece to think of, that you have someone who can have some of that knowledge, that employee law, employee relations pieces, especially when people, like employees, have issues. You know, like I've talked to my staff and I said, if you have issues, make sure you go to the board. They're my boss, the library board. They're like, no one's ever told us to do that before. I'm like, what do you do if you have issues with someone who is in charge? So if you have department heads, that's great, but you all are lovely. They might not be sometimes. Who do people go to for things? So to have someone who can kind of connect the dots, I think is helpful. I don't know what that needs to look like, but I think that it needs to be something.
Okay. Thank you. Did you want to add anything? I think what we need to do is we need to meet as a board, and we'll do that. I think we'll go over these documents that we have in our ordinance as far as what that position looks like, what the job description looks like, what the statute looks like, what our responsibilities are as a board. We'll have a separate meeting to do that, and then we'll come back and figure out what we can figure out what a job description is. So we'll set a date and time to do that, and then we'll come forward and figure out where to go from there. But I think we're pretty much, there's a consensus that we like public administration associates, whether we look locally first and do the economical route with the Wisconsin League of Municipalities, social media. Do that route first, Wisconsin Towns Association, those are all a nominal charge. Do that first, and then we could go out and work with this Public Administration Associates. So I think we'll set up a meeting date and time to go over the job description, and we can use these different documents that we have to develop that. So if we wanted to start, whenever we want to do that, and
I guess I just have to ask, so before we do that, are we having the, not the supervisors, the department heads weigh in on the description, or?
I think
'cause
that would
we've
be-
had, what, 1, 2, 3, 4
I think it would be
of the
important.
7 come forward and say, we need a town administrator.
I think it would be helpful. What do you say?
I think so.
We had
And
how many?
didn't 4 people come forward to speak about this topic?
4
Yeah.
of the 7.
Of the
How many
7.
said we need an administrator?
I think 4 of this.
Or at least,
That isn't what the chief said.
Oh, okay, that's not what you
Not,
said?
not unless I misheard you, chief.
Okay,
Did I mishear you?
He said,
That we need an administrator?
sorry if
wanted
I
continuity.
misunderstood that.
Yeah, I would like to see continuity. I don't know. What I will say is Bill hit on, Jamie is here in excess of 40 hours a week. That wasn't the case with the other individual that was in this role. And I'm sure the town board wasn't aware of that when that was going on. The town board needs to know what's going on here before an administrator is hired, and what duties is that administrator supposed to do with the department head? Am I supposed to report to the administrator once a week, twice a week, the police and fire commission once a month, and the administrator once a month? I mean, we have an abundance of people here. In my opinion, if you have an administrator in a town this size, why do we have a police and fire commission? She should be hiring the police officers, and you should have a police committee to do discipline. I mean, she hires every other town employee, he or she.
required by law.
You got duplication. No, it's not
No, it's
required by
not.
law in a township.
Nope.
no, it's not.
It's set by ordinance. There are certain things that statutorily would be options, but
City of Adams doesn't. I served as the interim chief there. There's no police and fire commission there. The public,
Safety committee, there's a public safety committee in Grand
personnel
Rapids.
committee does the hiring of the police
The
officers there.
personnel committee does hiring in other towns as well. It's what we
And I'm not saying
determine.
that's right or wrong. I'm not giving an opinion on that. I'm saying that's the 5 of your job to decide
That's-
what you need.
And that's what I'm saying.
And
We
not
need
have
to take a step
duplication.
back and look at all this stuff and hear exactly those arguments. You know, what, we need to understand all that before you go forward.
We could have a public works committee with Parks and Rec and beautification. That's how O'Connell Falls does it. That's how they did it up in Shell Lakes. We learned that up in Shell Lake. I mean, there's lots of why have them report to 3 different layers of authority? That's, I maybe bottleneck is the wrong term, but communication doesn't make it all the way to the top. Not that we're bosses or dictators or despots up here, but we need to know things too in order to make decisions. That's why I brought the helicopter information forward. Maybe it would have changed our minds earlier, maybe not, but still it's important information to know. But anyway, moving forward, so, let's set a date. If we agree that we want to get people together, we can put some dates and times out there, have some communications, work on a job description and what we want to do moving forward for a job description. If that's the route we want to take with filling that role. Does that sound, do we have a consensus? Here's some, let me just give you these right away. These are from the statute. This is a statute that has the town administrator position, if you want to just pass those down. I think I have enough. Oh, I'm sorry. You can keep one, give one, and then this is our ordinance.
2 different things?
Yeah, no, they're one of the same. And then this is the ordinance, our town ordinance for the, we might not may even need to change this.
That's just one page?
Yes, just one page.
Oops,
And
I
then
guess I
you
didn't
should-
take one. Sorry,
Oh,
Melissa, I
here.
passed it on and didn't keep one.
And then you should have the job descriptions, that Jamie emailed you when it was originally,
The 2 job descriptions.
yes, the one for the original and then the one when it was redone in 2018.
job descriptions in the packet, I was asked at the last meeting to provide my signed copy. So you have the job description and my signed copy. I can email out the one that the former the former administrator signed. In looking at them, I don't believe that they changed much. But so you have the job description that was provided in your previous packet, which is my job description, and I was asked at the last meeting to provide the one that I signed in 2018.
So they're very similar. I think they're just laid out, they're formatted just a little differently, that's all.
I think the bullet points just transfer well on the one.
But it's nothing that you've weighed in on and made any changes to yourself?
I have not been asked.
Okay.
And even if you look at some of the items from the clerk treasurer's position that the board previously approved when Melissa was hired, look at some of the things that are in her job description, it would be helpful as well. Because you'll see that those were assumed and now just simply went back, that's all. They're not being, the word has been used, dumped, that's incorrect. Those are just simply transitioning back.
Well, I'd like to see Jamie give us an update on what she thinks ought to be in this job description based on your experience here in the last 5 years before you leave. It'd be great.
I guess I would ask if that would be a request of the entire board.
I would be interested in knowing your opinion having been here for 5 years. You've lived this job description. Are there things, I would be interested in knowing.
Yeah, are there things missing, or are there things there?
Or things that shouldn't be there.
Right.
Because you're the professional administrator, who knows better than you. We still make the decisions, but you've lived this for 5 years. And are going to live it up in Weston. Okay. So
I'd be interested to know how you think it could change for the future.
back to looking at dates.
Well, we know the 18th and 19th are out. We know the week of the 23rd's out for you, except for the,
Well, I could be available the evening of the 23rd.
We're
That's a
talking about
Monday?
October?
There's a park board meeting that already scheduled that night.
Not good. I am not available on the 24th. I could be available on the 25th, but I'm coming back from a meeting in Eau Claire that ends at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're talking, it'd have to be at least 5:30, so that I could be assured of getting back here in time. Because I don't think I can get a police escort to come back. And I know Chief won't loan me one of the squads, so.
Well, you've been meeting every Thursday if you did the 26th to get through budget.
23rd is Parks and Rec.
yeah.
I mean, 26th would work for me as well.
That date sounds familiar, though. There's something else going on the 26th,
I don't know why, I have budget meetings on my calendar, the
Yeah, you were
24th and the
holding
26th.
The 26th at 3 o'clock, but we needed to have the notice out tomorrow for the,
There's something else.
So we should already have that time held on our calendars at 3 o'clock on the 24th and then 3 o'clock on the 26th, because those are already tentative dates for budget meetings.
Yeah, I think I deleted that one a couple days ago. I mean, I could probably be here at 3 o'clock on the 26th.
So the 24th can be deleted, that's not happening.
that's correct. But the 26 wouldn't have to be 3 o'clock, it would depend on what was available in your schedules.
Well, speaking of the person who runs a school, later in the day is better for me.
And would we invite the department heads then to that meeting
I think we should have one.
prior to that?
I think it would be helpful. I mean, we can. Let me see, I gotta look at that. So did we settle on the 26th then? I guess the 26th is open. I thought I had the 26th. Did we settle on the 26th?
It's fine, what time? So we keep it 3 o'clock?
That sounds good.
What's this meeting called?
Special meeting, special board meeting. what we could do on that date as well is also, have a first look at we'll have the applications in too for,
Please, can we do just one thing? at
yes,
this
sir,
meeting?
we can,
Thank you.
because you have a busy week that week.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Yes, and
we
concentrate
tend
on
to-
this.
We tend to puddle these things all together, and we do, we're doing a budget hearing, but then we're doing 5 other things sometimes. And if we're going to concentrate on this job description, please let us concentrate on the job description and
Sure.
not muddy it up with.
We've just had a
applicants.
lot going on this year. Board of
Well,
Review is late this year,
I
and
understand that.
everything's been late this year, so,
All the more reason to have just one focus for that meeting,
understood,
job description, please,
understood.
because we can't move forward without it. Thank you.
So what additional information will we have to look at other than what we're holding here? Are we asking Jamie to have her review to us by that time, or anything else?
Yes.
I mean,
I think so.
is that
And
under,
whatever information we can
is
find
that-
from our sources.
is that
we'll
doable for
find.
you, Jamie? Okay,
I will make it work. I think I've shown I'm willing to stay past the
I
regular
think
time.
so too. And thank you for that. Wouldn't have been very easy to get through the budget without you staying here, so, thank you.
Okay.
So when do you want to meet with department heads?
Before or after that meeting? Before? Might make sense. Before? Do we all want to do that? During the day?
I think we should all have the opportunity to do that if you
Yes.
can make it to the
And I
meeting.
think we should do it on their time, not our time. I
Yep.
mean, not make them come in special.
No,
Don't you wanna come in special? So what are we proposing for that? What is on their
Are
time?
you here the week before?
what day of the
that
week
23rd?
is easiest for most?
I'm gone
The
next week.
majority?
Okay.
What day do you normally have your department head meetings?
Tuesdays.
Is there a time on Tuesdays?
I can make most anything work.
Yeah, you have a pretty, but you got classes, don't you?
Excuse me?
You have classes, don't you?
All my education is flex time.
Okay, all right.
If it is Jason, you have to cover shifts. I don't open it, you probably would want to.
Somebody call out a time, day?
So are we looking at October 24th? Do you wanna talk to them before we meet?
I have conference that day. I'm going to the Towns Association conference.
And that's Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, so the only time, if you had the meeting on the
If you're gonna
26th
do
would
it
be the
before, it's
25th.
Wednesday.
I could do it on Wednesday, the 25th. Oh,
What
but
about next week? Next week's
I can
out?
do it in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Supervisor Minter said he's out of town all next week.
Should
Yeah,
just get
I mean, if
it
it-
caught.
do not delay this meeting just because I have to be out of town.
Oh.
Just somebody will take good notes and I can read them.
no, no, he needs to be here too. That's right, I'm not going, I canceled Tuesday.
You will not be there
That's
on
right, I
Tuesday.
canceled Tuesday. So Tuesday's open. So I could do Tuesday, the 24th.
At 3?
Well, we were gonna ask the
I think we would just have
department
to
heads what's a good time.
work out a schedule through that day. I mean, we will try to make them back to back, but we would work out a.
You wouldn't want to do like a round table discussion?
If you wanted to have it all together, then we could do a solid meeting date, or a solid time. I was thinking it was an individual meeting.
Oh, what would they prefer? What do you prefer?
I'm open for anything.
You feel more comfortable talking one-on-one, or you're just fine saying whatever you have to say in a group?
I have nothing that
Oh.
I prefer as a group that way.
Okay, that sounds great. So Tuesday, October
table.
24th, what, is that available time for you, and what time of day works best?
3 o'clock?
3 o'clock is okay,
3 o'clock won't work for me.
all right?
Son's birthday night.
Oh,
She leaves at 3.
Okay,
right, what
so
time would work for you?
work for you?
Anything before that.
I can't make it before that, on a Tuesday. I'm tied up.
okay.
You wanna get it done bad enough to do it in the evening? Oh, that's a birthday, so you're not gonna be available after 3, okay.
We could have cake though.
Super early? You're busy all day, even early.
Is that,
I could do it early in the morning.
Early in the morning?
Good, how about 8 o'clock?
What's early in the morning?
Anytime.
I'm up to 5.
I wake up anytime.
can you make
My
it
alarm
at
clock
8 AM
works.
that day?
Depends upon how long I have to be to school by 11.
All right,
Well, stay as long as you can.
8 AM?
8 AM, October 24th?
There we go.
Sold?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm good at that, actually, getting meetings
You think we should give other employees an opportunity as well?
Eventually,
Okay,
but I think the department heads are the more important piece.
okay,
And you could give something later on to let employees react to.
okay.
I would think it would be better if they were reacting to something than trying to draw out original thoughts from them.
Okay,
My opinion,
maybe just a survey or something even too.
my opinion. Yeah, we can
Okay.
talk about that.
All right,
I think if you start asking all other employees, you're just gonna muddy this up
Well,
even
that's
more.
why.
It's like the
that's why
inmates running the
Then
asylum.
you've got your
Department
department heads and
Yep.
8 AM on the 24th, okay.
While we're looking at our schedules here,
Should somebody bring coffee and donuts for the 8 AM
Sure,
roundtable
I'll
on the 24th?
bring something.
on November the
opens at
7th, there's an
6,
info
not on
meeting with
Tuesday.
Nextra.
but not on
I'm not
Tuesday.
thinking
Bring
us,
your
I'm
own-
thinking them.
Bring your own coffee, I'll
time?
bring donuts.
You bring
for
donuts, we
everybody.
bring our own
Huh?
coffee.
I'll get
It's
everything.
quick to
Six?
press, yeah.
What date is that thing?
That's right. I will make an
The
order.
bakery's not open on Tuesday.
I'm used to bringing
Sure,
donuts for snowplow
500.
operators,
All right.
so.
All right,
Phil's,
so we got the 24th at 8 AM and the 26th at 3 PM, right? Yeah.
Any other documents or anything that, anybody finds information on positions that sound of interest or have good information they wanna share it. All right, anything else?
Question, Chairman, on the sharing of the documents, just so we
Oh.
don't do anything wrong. Should we funnel any documents that we want to share with the rest of the board through Jamie, and she will send it out to us?
Yes.
So that we're not
Of
a
course,
walking email quorum?
of course.
Okay.
It's only if you have a discussion and you start making decisions, you're a walking quorum, but funnel them through her.
Just easier to compile them and get them.
Send them to
get
her,
everybody
she'll
the
send them
same
out prior to
documents.
the meeting. Great.
All right, dates and items for future agenda meetings. Item 11, next agenda.
Will you remind me the date? I heard Bob just asking for the next era general meeting that we're having.
It's November 7th
November 7th, okay, thank you.
Tuesday.
Thank you.
at 6 PM. And that will be their meeting. They will be doing the presentation and answering all the questions. And we will simply be there as a town board, and there will be a quorum notice posted,
And that was at what time again?
6 PM.
6 PM, okay.
I'll meet with you both afterwards to just review some information, okay? Anything else? So number 12, next budget meeting date and time.
The next budget meeting.
That is it?
Well, it'll be the hearing and the town meeting, so that's the Thursday, November 2nd at 6 PM. But the next town board meeting will be next week, Thursday, October 19th at 5 PM. It'll be regular town board agenda items. And then the week after, October 24th, 8 AM, and October 26th, 3 PM. And don't forget Board of Review, the 18th, 9 AM.
I do have a question for board review. If those hearings should by any chance run into the 19th because of the length or any discussions or decisions that we make? Because we did tell Associated Appraisal that we wanted to make the decisions at the end of each hearing. Should that run into the 19th? Jackie shared that she's gonna be a little bit late that day.
I will not be here that day,
So,
because I
we will-
scheduled my Wednesday for Thursday.
So we will have a quorum.
You will have,
We will have
if
a-
Jackie makes it, yeah.
I'll make it. I mean, I can cancel what I have. I was just questioning if it would be possible to come late at 10:30. But if it's not, then I'll reschedule what I have in the morning.
We did not notice that, because we didn't know how many we would have yet.
I'm busy at 11.
Just to be safe, we probably should notice it,
I think we should notice it.
so we have that to fall back on. Maybe just
Do we-
talk among yourselves on when that, because we need to have a quorum, of course, so if we're hearing.
Could it start at 10:30?
Right, the starting time, if we need to adjust that, we just need to know so we can get it noticed accordingly. So it doesn't have to start at 8 or 9, it can start at 11. We just need to know so we can schedule those hearings correctly.
And 4 is way better than 3, if possible.
Yeah.
How many do we
that's,
have?
I think where I'm going with that. And I don't think we know that we are going to have any hearings on that day, but this would give us the ability, if we do have a large number received, we want to make sure that we have that kind of date held and noticed in advance.
But should they run over, you wouldn't be here, you would not be here, I would be here, you'd be here, and Bob would be here. So that'd be 3 of us.
That's enough.
It's enough, but for board of review, it's always helpful to have a full board. I think it's
I know.
easy to
Because-
contest
I
the city.
understand, but I already rearranged my schedule once for the board of review. I can't rearrange it again.
Okay. So just wanted to double check, okay. So, all right. Anything else? Meeting adjourned at 5:05.